China is fast becoming a world power. And you understand that
it is a world power.
It is the world power now?
It is a, I didn't
okay,
say it is a world
it's
power.
a world power, exactly. It's a world power. And it's fast becoming the world power. And the USA is not given it a chance. But I think in this case, China is beating the USA in the reading culture. Now, the third greatest amount of time spent reading is in China, where survey respondents report spending around 8 hours every week partaking in this activity. This country has a 96.4% literacy rate, which is higher than the global average of 86.3%. Of this time, only around 11 minutes a day are spent reading newspapers and magazines. They are reading books. They are reading books from researchers, books from people who are going into IT and stuff like that. You know, China is one of the greatest countries when it comes to technology, right? So China has everything it takes to be a world power. So why did I bring us to examine these countries? I want us to just look at these countries and see what we really can learn from them. There is nothing much really that we can learn from them other than the fact that they know that if they are going to catch up with the fast-paced growth in this particular generation, in the 203rd decade, where information quadruples every 2 days. Notice information doesn't double, but information quadruples every 2 days in this current decade, the 203rd decade. We're in the 21st century, right? But we're in the 203rd decade, and right now information quadruples every 2 days. What can we do? In China, in Thailand, in India, they know that it is very important for them to ingest information, for them to be innovative and inventive. If you must be innovative and inventive, you need to ingest information. And you know what is very, very interesting about Thailand? You know that in Thailand, this 88% of their reading is actually based on hard materials. Do you know why they promote that? They know that you can actually incapacitate a people by giving them too much information. If they have access to too much information, you stifle their original thoughts. Their creativity will not be expressed in the midst of the noise of several opinions. And that's why someone like Leonardo da Vinci, who is regarded as one of the most talented human beings in the world. I can see him nodding his head because he was a painter, he was a sculptor, he was into engineering, he was a dancer, he was an anatomist, he was anything you can ever. He was an artist, he was a writer, he was a poet, he was anything. That human being was an embodiment of talent. But he said, and I quote, "I will not quote expertise, I will quote experience." So that was somebody who really loved the idea of original thinking. And all of the principles of aviation is based on his own studies from his own paintings. So you might want to check out Leonardo da Vinci. So what am I saying? There is nothing much to learn from these countries than the very fact that they so much love original thinking. But in Africa, do you know the biggest problem to our reading culture in Africa, particularly in Nigeria? You know the answer. It's hunger. I mean it. I mean, that's it. Go check it out. That's the biggest problem. It's hunger. We have not finished feeding our stomachs. What time do we have to feed our brains? But we don't know that if we can feed our brains, feeding our stomach will no longer really be a challenge. But how do we do that? And that's why I call on you now, as authors and writers, honestly, to do this job. Do you know, when I train my writers and speakers, I tell them this, and they will always quote me anyway. I tell them no one calls you to creative work until you call yourself to it. Who sent you? Now the government sent you. No. Exactly. So they did not send you actually, so you cannot expect them to help you to promote it. They would actually look for what the people want. That's what politics is. Listen to the voice of the people, because the voice of the people is important. And it doesn't matter if the people do not want what you want. You just give the people what they want first of all, before before you can now do what you want. That is politics for you. And so if we have our leaders or rulers as politicians, then we cannot expect that they would invest in what the people do not really want, but just a small category of people really want. There is a saying, 5% of the people think, 15% of the people think they think, while the other 80% would rather die than think. So look at it. I'll repeat that.
They are zombies.
5% of the people think, 15% of the people think they think, while the other 80% would rather die than think. Now, look at it. I know many times when we come together, we talk about the fact that if it were like a club, and it was even it made it even more graphical the other time when he said if they would steal their wallets and steal their phones, they would still pay to go there. I love the way you put it. You're really an artist. So the point I'm making here is this: just 5% of the people want this thing. So the government is going to go for the 80% of the people who all they want is food. All they want is just a job to get by, and that's why they will create Empower for graduates, master's degree, PhD, Empower, 30,000 naira every month. They don't even earn as much as commanders. Isn't that sad? So we can actually bemoan the difficulty in our nation, but what can we do as writers? If no one is going to help us, shall we help ourselves? That's the question before us today. I have just particularly 2 suggestions. Number 1, more than we market our books, let's market reading. In fact, I might even venture to say that let us market our books by marketing reading. So market reading so that when the people now have a thirst and an hunger for reading, you can tell them, I have something for starters. And that's my book. You get a point, right? You are the one who created the thirst in them, and you can bring the satisfaction to them. That's the deal about marketing. So what do I have to say? First of all, we must, and I'm repeating this, we must agree that the government will do almost nothing more for us anytime soon until there is a market demand for books and readership. When the government now begins to see that the people are now loving to read, then the government will start to sponsor things that will have to do with reading. That's it. That's the way the government operates. The government wants to look at it. If I'm going to invest in this, is there a market demand for this? That's the question. If you meet any politician, come and sponsor this, they would ask you, is there a market demand? How many people are really going to be there? That's the question.
We have a scheduled September 28, 2 to 3 p.m. conversation with Mr. John Ayo. Why must you ensure you...
Sorry. I'm sorry about that. So that's the point I'm making, right? Like, until the government sees that there is a market demand for reading, for readership, for books, they would not sponsor us. So with that in mind, I need to also say this. Let us also face it, theoretical knowledge isn't glamorous in our part of the world. So what I'm saying is this, and I think there is already a move, and we've been making those moves, but we should never give up in making those moves because we are doing the right thing. So you can see that there is already this forum of book clubs in schools, and I will never forget, because I speak for National Library of Nigeria, I'm one of their resource persons, and that was the first place where I got to know about Ibadan Book Club. And when I came here the other day and the head of branch was presenting, in fact I went home together with her in a car. So what I'm trying to say is this, that I met this little girl who is daddy's secretary, right, or PA, exactly, and I would never forget her presentation that day. In fact, I even reiterated it at our International Masterful Speakers Masterclass. I told them that, no, that was not it. I was speaking at a parenting conference, and I mentioned that I love what the dad did for this little girl. How that she came amongst a group of authors and thinkers and writers, and the dad spoke, I believe, so that the child could get a chance to speak. And when the child spoke, do you know what? I forgot everything that anyone said that day, even what I said, but I will never forget what she said. Because she laid out a brilliant blueprint for us to promote reading in schools. And I hope you still have that blueprint. Do you still have it? I think I would like to get it, and would do some more things about it. Because that's exactly what we're talking about, marketing our own books by marketing reading. So here are some thoughts. Let us involve people now, and let them know about the impediments to healthy reading culture in Nigeria. Let us let them know that these are the impediments, and you and I are the cause of this. The reason the government is not supporting us is the very fact that we are not a reading people. So let us let them know that. And then the other thing is for us to show the people the link between the impediments to a healthy reading culture in Nigeria and our own stunted national growth and development. We have to think deeply about that and be able to show people the link between the fact that we are not a reading people and why our own nation is not progressing. In fact, it's often said that if you create a structure for a people and you don't create structured people, the unstructured people will destroy the structure that you have made for them. So that's just at least one other way for us to get them to actually buy into this idea. The other thing again I have to say is that remember what Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie said in a popular TED talk, The Danger of a Single Story. I don't know if you caught this, but I caught it. She said that when you show a people as one thing, as only one thing over and over again, that's what they become. Do you know why we are still a culture, we are still a nation that doesn't read? Because we say it too often, that we are a nation that doesn't read. That's the point. So they believe that if you want to really hide anything, put it in a book, and the black man will not find it. So we need to change the narrative, and I think that's the genius of Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and that's why she's becoming one of the most prominent. I think she's the most prominent Nigerian author at the moment, and I would not be surprised if she wins the Nobel Prize. Maybe you should put it down, put this date down, and come and get me that moment. Maybe you dash me 1 billion naira, I think. So I think she's fast becoming, and she's celebrated across the world. She's making, and do you know what? She's done so much for the reading culture of Nigeria through our workshops, through our readership, through our public readings, and other things like that. So we can join her in our own little corner and do what she's doing. I've always thought about it, that great people do not do great things because they are great. I believe that great people are great because they do great things. I'll repeat it. I know that some of the things I often say are not always easy to catch at the beginning. I do not believe that great people do great things because they are great. I believe that great people are great because they do great things. In other words, I don't think Chimamanda